This is what my tank looks like currently. Yeah, I know. The lights at the bottom, I didn't think they were gonna be like that. Kind of look like Christmas lights. But, um, it works at night, gives us some sort of ambience. Um, so, I can't turn them off, but, like I said, at night it gives a sort of ambience, which I kind of like. Um, a whole bunch of things are going on in terms of the plants. I recently got into plants, so trying to maintain them at the same time trying to balance the fish life and all that kind of stuff. I stopped doing videos for a while just because I was just focused on trying to get the fish, to kind of stabilize what was going on and stuff, and also trying to see what kind of plants I can grow and which I can't. Deciding, how I was going to actually go about doing it. Um, but I think I've succeeded. What you see right now, everybody here is at least 3 months old. So that's kind of good to be able to maintain the ecosystem, not lose anybody. So I think I've reached, I think this is I could probably put a couple of more fish in here, but I'd rather not since I've just been able to maintain this ecosystem. I just want to keep it that way. I went back and started trying to use fish, try to breed fish that, well, not breed, but keep fish that have died on me in the past just to see if it was, me. In other words, I didn't have I don't know what you call it, a blue thumb or whatever. And so I've kind of jumped that hurdle, so I actually can keep fish of certain species because I really thought I couldn't keep certain types because it just seemed like once I introduced them, it was done. 2 weeks, if or less, they were all gone and stuff like that. So I'm kind of happy that going back and trying to see if I could jump that hurdle was definitely worth it. Um, there are a whole bunch of things going on here. Of course, we have two gouramis, we have Platys, we have uh, what else do we have here going on? I have some tetras, which is funny. I used to be great with neon tetras, but for some reason they've become my arch enemy. So those of you who've seen my time before would have noticed that I had neon tetras, but I don't have them anymore because for some reason they've become, my little bane of my existence. They just, and it's the funny thing is they just disappear. You know, I just don't know what happens. I had five of them and they just disappeared. Um, in a way, I guess that's how ecosystems work. So they're probably provided nutrition for the plants or whatever. I know I don't have any edible or like plants that eat other stuff. So I know the plants didn't eat them, and a lot of the fish I have are all small mouthed. So I know they didn't get eaten by another fish. But everything is looking good. I got some plants. I'm gonna try, if I have some time to sit down and just write stuff out because for some reason, as I'm talking, I can't really, come up with what I have in my tank right off the top of my head. I know everything I have in here, but for some reason, the names just seem to be evading me at this point. But I will try to see if I can do a little write up of what's going on here and everything. Have I think I've really found my niche with catfish or what they call them, the miniature ones. I'm trying to remember what they're called too, but I'm blanking out, of course. But I've seen that they're the longest. I think I have guys here who are over 3 years old in my tank, which is amazing to me. The little silver and black one that you can see right there is the most expensive fish in my tank. I got him off of a trade. I had a real big catfish for whatever reason. It looked like one of the miniature ones, but for whatever reason it grew like a freaking giant. So I was able to trade it in at a fish store, and because of the size and how beautiful it was like black with a bunch of white spots on it. Almost kind of looked like one of those whale sharks or whatever. But apparently, it was an expensive species of a cat, but it was still a miniature. But for whatever reason, they get a little larger, not as big as the ones you catch in the wild or anything, but they get a little larger than your normal. So he was able to make a real good deal for me. So I got that in exchange for him. I'm trying to think if I have any other unique guys in here. Oh yeah, this guy is pretty unique. Again, hopefully I'll write out. Can't believe I'm really blanking out right now in terms of the names of all these fish because I know them. It's kind of like those exam anxieties someone has, and you just forget how to answer questions and stuff. But yeah, the tank is doing well. I'm still having a little bit of an issue with pH. It's tending to low on the low end. In other words, I'm getting pHs in the sixes. Well, not sixes actually. It's probably like 6.5. Somewhere around there. And I've been trying to bring it back up to 7. I'm assuming it's it could just be that maybe I'm right at that threshold of population density here, whereby with the poop and all the other things, the fish waste and all the other things that's going on, that maybe I'm releasing a little too much waste, and that might be the reason the water is a little more on the acidic side. I've tried to do tiny little things to improve that, but it just seems to be where it wants to stay. But that's nothing new, actually. My tank has always run acidic, which was great for shrimp and stuff like that. But since I'm not really keeping shrimp, well, let me take that back. I am keeping, not your garden variety, like your crystals or your cherries and all those anymore. That's because they, for whatever reason, I can't keep them number one and number two. I've learned my mistake from these fish because they do eat shrimp. I don't care what anybody says, smallmouth or not. They'll either nip them to death and then gradually consume them, or something happens. But for some reason, your bigger shrimp, like your ghost shrimp, for some reason, those are fine. They don't seem to mess with them until they die, of course, and then I see them being devoured and stuff like that. I have a dwarf teardrop in the back. That's why you have the little cup in there. Um, I was told I needed a lot of CO2 and a lot of light for its progression or propagation. So I'm kind of hoping that once that starts, then I'll move it to a secluded spot on the floor. But I don't know. I think it's growing. At least it's not turning brown or anything. So at least I know it's alive and surviving. But I thought it would grow a little bit faster than that because someone told me they grow quite fast. But it could be that maybe the soil is not exactly what it requires. Maybe that's why it's not growing as fast. But at least I'm glad it still is growing wide instead of growing tall. So which is what you want. You don't want it to grow tall. So that's kind of good. Trying to think here. Anything else? Oh yeah, I have these two. Um, they're catfish, but they're not your normal dwarf types like the ones you probably have seen already. These guys, I think, are regular cats. They're still dwarfs, but they're like the kind of catfish you would catch in the wild. Problem with them, of course, is of course they're gonna grow quite big, and I wanted to risk it just because I figured, best case scenario they grow pretty big, and then I just trade them in. Worst case scenario they die, but they looked pretty good. But the problem was they didn't tell me at the fish store that they're nocturnal, and so they only come out at night like freaking sharks. And it's funny, but it's not funny because you spend that money for fish because you want to see them, and they're hiding 24/7. I mean, if I go tap, the some of these leaves and stuff like that, I know there's one that hides right in there, and then there's another that hides right in there somewhere. And at night, which is kind of why I've left the lights on, because what ends up happening is that those flashing lights and with the blue lights for nighttime, I get to see them, because if not, they actually move in the dark and all you see is a shadow. So the only way I get to enjoy them is by sitting in the dark, sometime after 12 or whatever, and then just see them come out and swim around and all that kind of stuff, which is the only way I get to enjoy them. And I've noticed they are growing big. You know, hindsight 2020. I wish I had known that part of it, because I mean that would have definitely been a reason not to get them, because I want fish I can see. I don't have, not having to wait in the middle of the night just to catch a glimpse. But like I said, everything is going on great. Love the tank. I will try to do a little write up at the end. I might not, but I'm hopefully going to. But I do have a whole bunch of fish in here that very colorful, because I kind of noticed I needed that color because of the greenery. Every plant I have seems to be green. I did try right here to get a plant that gives a little bit of color. It's supposed to give me a bit of a red and a bit of orange. Um, I don't know. It looks green to me. Some of the leaves are, a little lighter in color. So I've got some leaf stuff that I use that hopefully is supposed to make the colors pop up a little bit. And so we'll see if we can get a little bit of color that way. But for right now, the color of fish I've chosen are pretty good. I will wait for if these guys, if I do something stupid or something happens and I lose